Hey guys, after quite a few months, I don't know, it's been so long, we finally have a new Codex boss, which is pretty cool. And I genuinely do like this boss. I think it's a lot of fun, but unfortunately, it is the most whale heavy boss that there is, at least until more units come out that make it a bit easier. Similar to how the Pelagius boss first was when it came out, seemed a lot worse than it ended up being. Uh, this boss is hard. I'm gonna be real. As you can see at the time of this recording, it's about 2 hours after the boss went live. I am currently number 30th. I'm missing some fairly key units like Stetrum, and I did my best. And this will obviously push me out of top 100 by the time people start to get the boss down in the next 12 days. But I wanted to make a video kind of going over how to team build for it, how the boss works, and also kind of show you guys some options for teams you can make. The main thing, though, going into this, I do have to say, is if you do not have Ingrid, you're really going to struggle. I'm going to show this team first and then explain how the boss works while I'm showing the run in the background. I'm going to kind of give some budget options, although there isn't really a budget team for this. And then I'm going to show you guys my 8 million score that I got on test server when this boss was out over there. I think I recorded it and I'll find the recording for that. If you look at the score, similar to when the Pelagius Codex first came out, it's impossible to get SSS. Literally impossible. I do not think a single person in this game can get it. If anyone can, I will be very, very surprised. It's kind of crazy. But what's interesting is you actually get more coins than the other ones. So you get 1,000 more. So it is still a better boss point wise, which is kind of interesting. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This is the team that I use for my account. My Silas is a lot weaker and my Yovar is a lot weaker than they should be. And I do not know why. If they were stronger, I would probably be top 20, top 10, whatever. But this is the team I will be using. And I want to explain how the boss works while going through my run with you guys. Obviously, this is not going to be the perfect team for everyone, but it is how I got, top 30 or whatever the heck, right? This is what I did. You do Ingrid, who is the best unit for this entire thing by far. And then some other AoE unit. I use Valkyria to buff up my Praetus just a little bit, make the lightning do a bit more damage. The way the first part of this phase works, or the first part of the boss, is it's Conqueror, right? Then it moves on to Styx, and it's just like the previous codexes, but we get 2 lanes this time. And as you can see over there, by everyone getting revived, these really big boys come out, and they can't die. This is just kind of to counteract people that might be using stuff like single target to try to beat the first phase. You can't. You have to have 2 AoE units. It's a requirement because of it. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind while building your teams, that you need 2 AoE units. Like I said, Ingrid is by far the best. Now, we are chunking the boss down a little bit. Obviously, the faster you do this, the faster you get to the Styx phase, and it depends on how much damage you can do the Styx phase and all that. But for now, we're just going to try to get through it as much as possible without, losing. So that is the main thing. But realistically, the main attraction is the Styx phase. I'm trying to ration my Constance and my Helga, so I don't use the Invig, because they both have Invig on them. And I'm trying to save it as much as I can and only place these units. And what you're going to see once we beat this phase, which shouldn't be too much longer. I know this is kind of taking a while, but this is mostly just like an introductory thing that's supposed to really damage your team building, make it so that you have to make something a bit different than you would want to, which I think is a cool idea. Though what's interesting is, instead of just trying to have 6 units for Styx, I think the highest scores are going to be people that figure out how to use 7. And that's something that I'm pretty excited for. Here we're going to swap over to Styx phase. And like I said, we have 6 units for it. We can place 6 units. And we should hopefully be doing pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put Praetus, and then I am going to put Constance to give him some Invig. Then I am going to place Silas, and then I am going to face Helga towards him so that she can take his crit damage. It's not going to add a lot of damage, but it is something, and then also give him Invig. Then I'm going to be doing U of R, and I'm going to be doing Ingrid, and then I'm going to swap Ingrid to single target. This is going to be our main team comp. Here I'm going to click some of the ultimates before going in here. And I mean, realistically, it's just like, it's just sticks now. Like, let's be real, guys. There's not really much more to it. This is just kind of the boss, right? So we're just going to keep it going. Really going to have to keep an eye out on the shields. Personally, I fall apart at the last shield, I think. And I don't think it really matters too much. Here I'm going to try to trigger the ult before the shield ends, which unfortunately I am not able to with Silas. Kind of messes up my timings, but it's okay. And we're going to keep it going, right? Once again, it sticks. If you've ever seen any sticks videos or you've ever played sticks, this is a pretty typical sticks run. It's just we're using some heroes that we wouldn't usually, right? Now I did ult too early. Usually I would wait a little bit, try to give Silas a little bit of time to get up, and then I accidentally tapped out by accident. So that's why I'm not doing this properly, but you get the idea. We're gonna keep it going. Ult with Yovar, wait a little bit, try to build up some Silas rage. Then I'm gonna trigger Helga to kill the shield. We're gonna keep it going. Once again, Silas got messed up really bad, so now he's not gonna be doing much this entire fight. This is the whole thing, right? Later rounds, I'm going to save Yovar ult or Praetus ult or whatever for the shields. But for now, it is not too tough. And I'm just going to be trying to trigger the ults that are up before the end, because the boss will give us 50% rage every single time. And I mean, you get the idea, right? It's a pretty heavy whale content, I will be honest. Unfortunately, then again, it is so difficult to get to SSS. I think it's actually not a bad thing, considering everyone is always talking about how there's not hard enough content. So this is definitely something to start working towards and try to get a lot better at. And I think it's a good thing, right? It's a little something to work towards, which is good. Obviously, here I'm gonna have to trigger the lightning, and I didn't kill it barely, and we lose. Once again, it is pretty much just because I wasn't paying attention, because commentating while doing this can be a bit tough. But if I were to keep it going, time things better, I'm able to get top 30, 40, whatever, and it's pretty good. That's kind of how you operate through this boss. Realistically, it's just you got the conquer phase with two sides. You got to have at least two AoE units able to, in order to kill one on one side and the other side. You want to try to have one of those units be good for sticks, or at least both of those units good in general. And then you really want to try to finish off sticks with the rest of your units. If you go to leaderboard, you're going to see that a lot of people are using here. Goha's using Nyx for one of the sides, Ingrid for one of the sides. Ingrid for one of the sides, Vierna. Oh, whoops. Vierna, surprisingly, for one of the sides. Then you can go down, Ardea for one of the sides. They're using Ingrid. If you have a High Awakening Bubba, you can actually use Bubba for one of the sides, which I'll show in a second. But when the topic of budget teams comes up, there is no answer. You cannot make a budget team for this. So something maybe to theorycraft a little bit is you could maybe make like a nightmare team, possibly like a Torador with like Wukong, maybe like a Volca for some AoE, even like a Lust for extra multi-hits, maybe a Kagiri if he's awakened, sorry. Maybe that could work. You could toss in like a Vierna and Iona or something. Maybe even do like a little bit of a cultist thing. You might not hit S, but it is something you can run. You know, Boreas is probably really good for the first area. It's, at the end of the day, I can't really think of a budget comp like I usually do. Like Pelagia's Codex, I just threw in a bunch of epic marksmen and it worked. But for this one, it's a little tough. So I would just recommend, if you're really struggling on the Conqueror form, to just toss in a bunch of mages, a bunch of AoE mages, as much as you have, or AoE like fighters, for example. I think the new, not Diao Chan, but Lubu is going to be really good for this sort of thing because he's basically our Dia. That's kind of what I would think of when going for, units for the AoE phase. You saw that my Valkyria was very close to not making it, but if you're able to use her, she's a great option. And I think there's quite a few other options, but you're really going to have to just test it out, use your gear, and all of that. Speaking of gear, I probably should have talked about my gear before I go on to the 8 mil run that I did, just because I'm proud of it and I want to show it. Here, I went with as much attack on Praetus as possible. It's not the best gear ever. This gear is pretty good here, but it's pretty damn good. Ingrid, we got some more Infernal Roar just because they're better with it, and a Tear of Twilight. We're gonna have Infernal Roar on Valkyria as well. I put an AoE thing on her. I don't know if that was her best. Then Invig for Constance. You want to have her with as much attack as possible. I had Keen Wisdom. We have Yovar over here with Soulbound Arcana. I had his exclusive on as well. And then we have Silas over here with a ton of crit damage. I think maybe I should have gone with more attack, but it's okay. And then Helga, I just put Invig. You could build her as a DPS as well with a lot of attack speed. It is up to you. So that is kind of just how you go through the Codex. I know I didn't make that much of a budget thing, but you really can't. Let's be real, guys. Though it doesn't end there. This stage is really hard, but on test server, I've actually done really well. So the team I had built is Ingrid as the Lord with an A5 Wukong, A5 Kagiri, and then Lady Alexandra with Yovar, and also Helga and Beelzebub. It's a little complicated, but essentially the goal here is use Ingrid for one of the sides, obviously. I mean, Ingrid is an amazing lord. Wukong and Kagiri do some of the highest single target damage in the entire game for the Styx phase. Helga is there so I could cycle her in later to do some, boss damage or whatever. And then Yovar is there to buff Lady Alexandra and also get some hits in, which is great. Baba is there for the inspiration, and also he can kill the entire left side really well. This is an A3 Baba, almost everything else is A5. I just wanted to see if it was even possible to hit SSS, and it's not. So here, it's kind of just how it went. I put a bunch of Blightcaller's Claw on, which gives us extra hits. I don't know if that really helped that much, but maybe it did. And we're just gonna quickly be flying through this. Now, I actually do use all 7 of these units on the boss, which is really interesting, which you'll see. I actually use Bubba and as the inspiration, and I don't even use Helga until the very end, as you're gonna see here. I have Wukong on the right, and I mean Kagiri on the right. I'm trying to time him a little bit when he gets hit. I messed it up a little bit in my actual run. This is just the auto, so the timings are going to be off. It's just all about timing Bubba's inspiration with Wukong, Kagiri, Yovar, everything. Lady Alexandra does multiple hits. It's great. So I'm just kind of trying to do as much damage in a short period of time as possible. And the shields are always going to get destroyed with basic attacks because, the shields are not that strong. Gonna keep it going, and as you can see there, I actually sell Yovar to put Helga in because I know that Helga is going to be key for the shields, and I can't break anymore. But I want to keep Bubba in for the inspiration so I can get more damage, and that's exactly what I did there. And I just keep Helga out, and what you'll see later when Bubba actually is not going to be as useful because I need more shield breaking potential, I'm actually going to put Yovar in instead of Bubba. So I'm just constantly cycling out, in and out, all 7 of my unit. Well, not all 7, but I'm cycling out quite a few of them to the point where I'm using all of my 7 units. And I actually, in the actual run, this is an autofight, it's going to break at some point. In the actual run, I got like 7.9 million, which is the closest I have seen anyone get to 9 million, which is SSS. And I really hope someone can take it further. But this was a lot of fun to do, and I actually really enjoyed it. So, I just wanted to share my kind of sick run with you guys right now. Also, damage number wise, it's kind of skewed because it cares more about AOE damage than single target, but the damage is pretty high. But yeah, there you have it. By the time of me starting this recording, it's been like a couple hours because I took like a break partway through. I've already been pushed down to 56, which is crazy. Number one has gone up. Uncle Acid. He's using Comet as the AoE unit. When people start to figure out a unit that can both be used as sticks if you're cycling in and out, and also as AoE damage, I think it has a lot of potential to go higher. And this isn't even using Kagiri A5, which is quite a bit better. And it's a pretty good score. It's a pretty impressive score. We also have another, top whatever this is. There's a lot of new people that have popped up, and I foresee this being taken a lot further. I will be genuinely astonished if anyone gets SSS. So I hope this kind of helped to give you a little bit of perspective. I did my best. This boss is incredibly whale heavy. So keep that in mind while going into it and just do your best. At the end of the day, it gives 1,000 more of these coins. So it is still, a good one. Even if you're not getting as much of a score, you're still getting as many points as getting a high score on the other ones, which I think is great. But yeah, that's everything I have for y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe if you want to see more. And that's it from me. Destined signing out.